Welcome to our nightmare, bitches! And today we're gonna be talking about a movie that most of you bitches saw because I was in it, not this schmuck over here. Now, Jason, I got a joke for you, bitch. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not your mom, because she's dead, bitch!
Welcome to my nightmare.
Now that we got our silly intro out of the way, the nightmare can officially begin. Welcome back to yet another Round the Clock Fright segment. My name is Joshua.
I'm Kimberly.
Back again. So, Kim, it's really good to have you back. You've been doing these videos by yourself for a while. How have you been enjoying the month of October?
Oh, I've been getting so excited with the month of October. I mean, so far I've been decorating the house, getting ready for Halloween. Took the kids to the pumpkin patches, so doing a lot of Halloween stuff.
Did you see the Great Pumpkin? Did
No.
he rise out of the pumpkin patch?
No.
That's because you've been naughty children. But I do love your setup here. Like, I love these pop figures that you have up here, and then I don't know if you guys can see the whole thing, but she has like a Freddy Krueger action figurine right here. It is awesome. And he's also holding his own head, which is really cool. Which is appropriate because today we're gonna be talking about a movie in which Freddy Krueger does literally lose his head. So, today's movie is Freddy vs. Jason, released in 2003, directed by Ronnie Yu, who also brought us Bride of Chucky. Did you ever see Bride of Chucky?
Unfortunately, I have.
I take it you're not a fan of that one?
No.
Yeah, it was the first really comedic movie in the series, in the Chucky series, and I thought they went a little bit too over the top with the material. I thought it could have been toned down a little bit.
It took me away from that horror feel.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it was just too cheesy. Between that and Seed of Chucky was just horrible.
Seed of Chucky was 10 times more insane than Bride of Chucky. It literally begins with a CGI sequence in which Chucky's sperm is swimming inside
God.
Tiffany. And we get to see...
Nothing's as horrifying as that.
But today, we're going to be talking about Freddy vs. Jason. Now, a little bit of history. So, this is a movie that had been in the works for a while. Did you ever see Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember the ending where Jason literally goes to hell? In the last
Yeah.
shot of the movie, we see Freddy's razor glove come out of the ground and drag Jason's hockey mask into the dirt. Which leads me into my next question for you. So, which franchise do you like more, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street?
I'd have to say by far Nightmare on Elm Street, only because they had a lot more good movies, or good series in Nightmare. I can name 4 to 5 good ones out of that series. Unlike Friday the 13th, there's literally only 2, maybe 3, that I would say is pretty good, but most definitely 2. And
what are the 3 films in the Friday the 13th franchise that you actually like?
I definitely like the first 2, and the third one I'd say maybe would probably be the 4th one when they bring what's that kid's name?
Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman, yeah. So
And his best performance since Stand By Me or
yes.
The Lost Boys. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one. I would say A Nightmare on Elm Street. I probably prefer that series more because, for one, it was much more creative.
Mhm.
Friday the 13th kind of became stale after a while, I'm not gonna lie. They eventually tried to do new things. They tried to mix things up a little bit by having Jason go to Manhattan. They sent Jason into outer space, but A Nightmare on Elm Street also has a more appealing villain in my eyes. I always thought Freddy Krueger was much more interesting, much more entertaining, and of course, he had a much bigger personality than Jason.
And I feel as though even though his character developed more of a comedic relief to it, it didn't bring you out of it like the films the Child's Play films where they're trying to bring comedy and it just sucked. At least when they brought that comedy to Freddy, it was funny, but it was still dark in its own way that kind of
That's a really good point, because even in the first Elm Street movie, Freddy Krueger, he already has kind of a dark sense of humor. Like, he's mocking the teenagers in that movie, and I can see it being set up for comedy, or at least dark humor, so I definitely agree. And even though I do like the Elm Street movies more, I do have to say that Jason X is a personal guilty pleasure of mine. I mean, where else are you going to see a sequence in which Jason chases after revered film director David Cronenberg? He's in that movie. He has a short cameo. But Jason X is astounding. I
mean,
adore that movie.
If we had to say there's a funny one, I think the one I'd have to say would probably be the one with the girl with the psychic powers. I think it was 6?
7.
Or 7, yeah.
Mhm.
That one I would have to, I mean, that one was horrible. But if we're going to go with something that's like maybe fun, interesting, I would say that one maybe.
That's fair. So they finally released Freddy vs. Jason in 2003. And before the movie's actual release, fans were a little bit upset because even though they got Robert Englund to come back as Freddy, I mean, he made that character exceedingly iconic. They did not bring back fan favorite Kane Hodder to play Jason.
Yeah.
And apparently the studio's excuse was that Kane Hodder wasn't tall or imposing enough. So they got this actor named Ken. I forget his last name, so I apologize.
He was probably the best Jason, in my opinion.
I have an opinion on Jason's design in this movie, but there's actually a quote by Kane Hodder. He was pissed that they did not cast him in this movie. And there's a great quote where he's talking about his replacement, and he says something along the lines of, well, I guess they wanted Jason to look like a skinny little bitch in this movie. But did this movie, Freddy vs. Jason, did it live up to your expectations? Do you enjoy it?
I'd say it was fun, but I don't know. Out of the whole series, not series, sorry, it's not even a series, it's just one movie, but I guess in my opinion, it was fun, but I wouldn't say it was the best. I think they could have done a little bit more to it.
Yes, and I would love to get into that, but I would say in terms of overall quality, it probably has more to do in common with a Friday the 13th movie, as far as the overall narrative and just the quality in general, because A Nightmare on Elm Street was just groundbreaking. And just how visually creative and masterful it was.
I feel like you visit the camp more in Freddy vs. Jason than going back to the iconic Nightmare house, which, I mean, you did get one scene where you get it, but overall, no. I mean, like you said, I felt like it was more of a Friday the 13th than, trying to mesh up two characters.
We're not safe awake or asleep.
Here's what I wish they had done with the screenplay. Okay, so the basic premise is this. Freddy is literally in hell, and he's upset because the people on Elm Street, back on Earth, don't believe in him anymore. They've forgotten all about him, so his ultimate plan is to resurrect Jason Voorhees from the dead, so that Jason can go on a murderous rampage on Elm Street and make people think that Freddy is responsible, so he uses the last of his powers to resurrect Jason, right? He couldn't have used the last of his powers to invade the dreams of some random teenager on Elm Street. He could resurrect Jason from the dead, but he can't invade the dreams of one kid?
Yeah, kind of like he did in the 6th one.
Yeah. The script for this movie, I mean, it's incredibly generic, it's very formulaic, and here's what I would have liked to have seen. I kind of wish the entire movie had taken place in not really another dimension, but in a more hellish setting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they battle it out in the underworld, and
kind of cool.
There are different stages of the underworld in which they have to navigate, and you could do all these really kick-ass things. You could have these amazing set pieces in hell or the underworld or whatever, and they could even cross paths with Pinhead from Hellraiser.
And also, I mean, it wouldn't have been so bad if they had this setting at a camp, and we were talking about meshing up two worlds, and you were saying, making it a hell. We could have even had some at the camp, and maybe towards the end they're fighting it out in the boiler room.
Well,
and
apparently,
give it more of a
kind of a more
Freddy.
surreal edge.
Well, that, and then because Freddy Krueger has always been known to take his victims to the boiler room, so it'd been kind of, that would have been kind of cool too.
Yeah, because at the end, when they ultimately drag Freddy into the real world, I mean, it's not a very interesting setting. They go back to the campsite where, you know, it all started with Jason Voorhees, but I just think there was so much that they could do, you know, as far as like, I don't know, making it a more interesting narrative, to say the least.
And I didn't like how they just kind of, the whole fact that it's like, Jason just seemed like he was more under Freddy's
control
than his own. It'd been a little bit more cooler and a little bit more interesting if he was under, you know, like the, I guess, beginning half, under his, you know, control, but then somehow broke from that, and now we got literally two villains fighting it out, you know, do your killings and stuff, and
instead of having Jason be more of a pawn, just make him a bit more, shall we say,
maybe he got sick and tired of Freddy controlling him and just said, yes.
What do you think of the, besides Freddy and Jason, what do you think of the human characters in this movie?
They were very hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
That's another problem, is that, okay, they spend so much time with these generic teen characters that we don't give a shit about. They try to make the lead female protagonist, Lori, more interesting. She has this backstory where apparently her father had a hand in killing her mother. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And honestly, we just don't care.
Exactly. It's like, well, okay. And it almost felt like the first Freddy, kind of like they're recreating it a little bit, I guess, because you had, the mother that dies, the father lives.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
It kind of felt like they were trying to make her seem like Neve Campbell's character in Scream.
Yeah.
Like,
killing off her mom.
Yeah, killing off her mom and, you know, trying to make us somewhat invested in these teen characters, but they spend way too much of the runtime developing these teen characters, and they are just so bland and blah.
Don't get me even started on the douchebag boyfriend.
Oh my god.
That's the first. Well, I'm glad he was the first that dies. You know, you got him who's just to his girlfriend, just nagging her all the time. Like, oh, you're gonna, like, his one little comment in there, he's like, oh, you're gonna kiss me with your cigarette breath? Like, okay, you're a douche. Like you.
Such a douche. So, you have a concept like Freddy versus Jason, and you know, what do you do with it? Let's drag all of these bland, one-note teen characters
that you just want to die anyways,
and spend much of the runtime trying to make them interesting when we should be putting more of our budget into making, you know, Freddy and Jason more of the focus.
Exactly.
And one of the teen characters looks a bit like Jay from the Jay and Silent Bob movies. Like, he even smokes marijuana, and he acts like a total stoner. I think they were trying to make him seem like that character Jay.
Oh my, yeah. No. Then you have that one character that, well, the actress they had to throw in there was Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child.
Oh,
that was like, her character was even, I mean, I liked Destiny's Child. Around that time, I think it was when Destiny's Child was a thing, and I used to be into them. I was like, oh, cool, Kelly Rowland. No, her character was even just...
She's awful.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell that it was an instance where the studio wanted to put a pop idol into this movie to appeal more to the teen demographic. Like, let's take someone from a very popular band, or let's take a very popular musician and put them in the movie.
Exactly.
Because it'll create more of a draw for our... It'll create more of a draw for our younger viewers.
It almost reminds you of Halloween and them trying to bring, like, Tyra Banks and...
Halloween Resurrection, where they brought
Busta
in
Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes. That's a movie in which Busta Rhymes busts Michael Myers' ass with his sweet kung fu moves. Oh my god. We should do a video about Halloween Resurrection and just how putrid it is.
Right?
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
So the director of this movie was Ronnie Yu, and apparently one of the requests that he made was that he wanted to decide the ultimate victor of this movie. But here's the problem. When you have these two beloved horror icons, I mean, do you really want to see one triumph over the other? And there have been some complaints about this movie. So there have been some complaints that they kind of took away some of Jason's masculinity, that they made him seem like a weaker character because he does have a weakness to water, but I personally thought it was kind of cool how it became sort of a battle of the elements. Like Freddy, obviously his weakness is fire, because that's how he died. He was set on fire,
Yeah.
and Jason drowned. Which, I mean, Jason being weak to water isn't exactly
That's
canon.
never stopped him before in the previous movies when he goes into the water to
Right.
kill his victims. So to make it now,
But I will personally defend it because, like I said, it becomes kind of a battle of the elements. We have that sequence where Jason is inside Freddy's world, and Jason literally turns into a child version of himself, and he's trembling on the floor, and Freddy mocks him because he's afraid of water. But then Jason gets his revenge when Freddy is dragged into the real world, and their fight begins in a cabin that is literally on fire.
true.
So I honestly didn't have a problem with that. Let's talk about the fight scenes. A little cartoonish.
Yeah.
They do some clever things. What did you think about the fight scenes in this movie?
I don't know. Like you said, it's cartoonish. I don't know. I just didn't buy it.
Did you have any favorite bits? Like when they were ultimately dueling each other?
Maybe the end. I mean, I guess they're
Okay.
they try to make the end a little bit more hyped up, and I guess that's my only downfall to the ending was they hype it up to this ending that it does give you a little bit more of a okay, who's gonna win? Is it gonna be Jason or is it gonna be Freddy?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
There's some good action bits. There's some decent stunts. Although I will have to say, the first fight does take place in Freddy's world, and there's a moment where Freddy literally throws Jason's body around, and they use pinball sound effects.
oh yeah,
Like Jason looks like a rag doll. He's just being thrown around,
Yeah.
and they use these cartoonish sound effects that just made me look at the screen and go like, what the fuck is going on?
It reminded me of how they like sit there randomly throwing these sound effects, like in Halloween. I think it was the 5th one. Where you have those two police officers coming out with the squeaky clown shoes.
And
It's
they play circus music.
and circus music. So it's like unnecessary things like that. It made it more trying to make it more funny
Mhm.
when it's like, no, this is like you want to be serious in this moment because this is your two horror villains now coming together
Mhm.
to fight.
Why won't you die?
So the second fight ultimately culminates with Jason apparently emerging victorious. And, oh, by the way, before we go into our next topic, there's a really clever moment where they use each other's weapons. Like, Freddy starts hacking at Jason with his machete, and then Jason slices off Freddy's arm, and eventually uses the razor blade glove to impale him.
I think that was kind of cool that they actually used their own weapons against each other.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty cool.
So, Kim, I know you wanted to talk about some of your favorite kills in this movie. So what do you got?
I mean, I'd like to say all of them because all of these characters that die was just like, okay, good, thank God we got them off the screen.
And there were some good kills in this movie.
But there was actually quite a few good kills. I will just name two that were my favorite.
Okay.
We'll start with my first one, and it's pretty much when anybody hears Freddy versus Jason, they think this scene the most. But it would have to be that douchebag boyfriend at the beginning. So he's the first that gets killed off in this, but him and his girlfriend end up having sex, and she goes off to
Take a shower.
So he's laying in bed drinking a beer, and was it Jason?
As all teens do after
Yes.
making love.
And then of course we have Jason who comes in because Jason's the only one that likes to come in and kill after two people
After a good lay.
So he comes in and he pretty much stabs him in the back.
Yeah.
And the the bed pulls up like a futon. And the only thing I could think of, because I laugh at this scene every time, is how this guy manages to keep that beer in his hand the whole time that he's dying.
Hey, listen, I'm sure it was a very tasty beer. It was very important that he hold onto that beer tightly.
He's
he
like,
did
I
not
can't
want
spill
to let
a
it go.
drop.
Yeah, and that is a very cool kill. And, you know, it's kind of standard at first because, you know, he stabs him multiple times in the back with his machete, but then he literally folds the mattress.
It looks like a futon. Like, it's just...
It looks like a futon. Like, do you have any others?
The second one would have to be Kelly Rowland's character.
Oh, God.
And I only said that I was so happy when she died because leading up to her death, she was so obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
You have her standing there, I think they're by the lake, and she's standing there mocking Freddy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just trying to be badass over here.
Making fun of his butter knives.
His butter knives and his genital areas, and it was just like, oh my gosh.
Like,
just...
girl, are you for real?
Yeah, like, okay, you're gonna, like, mock this guy who's got razor gloves that's gonna kill you, but okay, go on.
Try to act tough.
Right? And then she backs up into Jason and pretty much gets thrown. No, he whips out his machete, hacks her, and she goes flying into the tree.
Very satisfying, to say the least.
I don't say it was my favorite because as obnoxious as she was, I was really hoping that somebody would just kill her and get her off that screen because she was annoying.
Okay, you know what I noticed in these movies, and I just thought of this. Okay, so in these kind of slasher movies, you usually have, you know, the one who we root for, who most of the time is a virgin, or, you know,
Yeah.
someone who is very sweet and easygoing, and, you know, someone that we can relate to, someone easy to like. They always have a group of friends. They always hang out in a group where there's that one unlikable douchebag, and it just makes you wonder, why are they hanging out with this character? Like, they're just so obnoxious and unlikable. It's
How did you manage to keep him as a friend or her as a friend?
like in the original Halloween, like Jamie Lee Curtis is hanging out with Nancy Loomis and PJ Souls, and PJ Souls is just this obnoxious bimbo, and Jamie Lee Curtis is this, you know, intelligent, you know, bookworm, and you're just thinking to yourself, why are these characters friends?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are they
like,
hanging out with each other? They are polar opposites.
Exactly.
And I just thought of that. I think...
And I want to say that with the Nightmare franchise in the beginning with Nancy, because at least those characters, the friends were likable. Even Tina
Yeah.
and Glenn, and yeah, well, no, you had Rod, who was kind of annoying, but it was in a much more understanding way that you'd have that one friend that's just the...
And obviously, you need someone who is just utterly despicable, someone who you want to see die, which of course she does. So I have
But in this movie, it's just, you had a whole bunch of them where it's just...
Mhm.
I mean, I would have to say the only redeeming, maybe a little bit on the characters would have to be the main girl.
Mhm.
She at least was somewhat likable. I mean, like you said, they hype her backstory up where you're supposed to care, but you don't. But at least her character is a little bit more likable.
Mhm. So I have to talk about... I'm sorry. So I've got to talk about my favorite kill of the movie. Setup. So Freddy essentially sends Jason to this rave that is taking place in the middle of this cornfield. Which, by the way, I grew up in Nebraska. I don't remember any crazy-ass raves that took place in cornfields. I don't remember that shit going on. But anyway, so Jason goes to this rave where all these teens are partying and, you know, raising the roof. And there's a really great moment where Jason lights his machete on fire. And one of the kids emerges from the cornfield. And all of a sudden you see the lit machete just flying through the air.
Oh, that was pretty dope.
And then it impales this guy, and it is still, you know, covered in flames. And oh my god, I squealed with joy.
You're like, yes.
And that goes back to Ronnie Yu being a pretty competent director, because this is a pretty competently made movie. The cinematography is fine. It has some nice atmospheric shots.
And I mean, the kills, like a lot of the kill scenes were actually pretty good. They weren't cheesy. Like
they had a kinetic energy to them.
Yeah, like the one that really kind of hyped you up was when you find out Freddy's coming back, and that is when the killing of the brother. Is it the brother of the dope friend? I'm trying to think. No, I don't. He was the brother, but you just see him kind of fly at the window.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. So I was like, you had a lot of these good kill scenes in this movie.
They did put some thought into the kill scenes. I will give them that. I wish they had spent more time in delivering a more interesting narrative. And I just think there was a lot more that they could have done.
And
they
more
should have
Freddy
made
and Jason.
more Freddy and Jason. I mean, these are the characters that we come to see.
Yeah, we don't care about the other ones. I mean, granted, you're going to have them in the movie because who are Freddy and Jason going to kill? So yeah, I mean, that's good, but yeah, the main focus should have been Freddy and Jason.
So, before we wrap things up, are there any other movies like this that you'd want to see? Like any other pairings? I've got one.
I do too.
What's your pick?
I would think a really funny, interesting one would be definitely bringing Michael Myers and Jason. Granted, you don't have any talking in this movie.
You're not talking about the Rob Zombie Michael Myers, right? You're talking about
No.
the real Michael Myers.
The real Michael Myers. Even the 2018 Michael Myers would be okay.
Yeah, and actually, you know, what you were saying, so people have been talking about a Michael Myers versus Jason movie, and, well, here's the thing. So you're essentially going to have two antagonists who don't speak,
That would make
are
it more
very similar.
It'd make it more terrifying though.
Okay, yeah.
Because you're not going to know what's going to happen.
Okay, that's a good point. My pick, I kind of want to see a Sam from Trick or Treat versus Krampus. Because for one,
That would be kind of cool.
they're both these holiday icons, and they're both from the same director, Michael Dougherty. So I'd kind of like to see them duke it out. I would like to see
have him be the one to direct it too.
I would like to see Sam pounce on top of Krampus and impale him with his lollipop dagger.
I got all bets on Sam, to be honest.
All bets on Sam. I think Krampus would probably lose that battle.
Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Kim, did you have any final thoughts on Freddy versus Jason?
Well, would like to mention the ending there. And how I definitely didn't see that ending coming. Because I just thought at the end we were going to get a final, somebody wins Jason or Freddy. But I did like that it was still open-ended. Even though you thought it was Jason who pretty much killed Freddy and and he was the winner, he really wasn't. And I like that little final shot where you have Jason coming out with Freddy's head in his hand, and you get that little tiny wink from Freddy, and it's cool because it's like, okay, well, granted we didn't get what we wanted, and with who won, but I didn't see that coming.
It was also the last time we would see Robert Englund play this character on the big screen. I know he came back for like a cameo in a television series. I forget what the series was, but honestly, even though he's gotten older, I wouldn't mind seeing Robert Englund tackle this character one more time in a cinematic setting.
If you're gonna bring Freddy back, that's the only way you're gonna be able to do it, because
you don't want you
don't
want Jackie Earle Haley from the remake produced by Michael Bay.
No.
That's the only thing that would have made Freddy vs. Jason worse, is if it were produced by Michael Bay.
Yes, because we want things blown up.
But anyway, guys, I really hope that you're enjoying the month of October. Thank you so much for joining us in our discussion of Freddy vs. Jason. We do have one more video planned for you that will be released later this month. It may or may not feature an iconic slasher figure, maybe someone that we mentioned earlier. So definitely look forward to that, guys. If you like this, please subscribe for more horrific content, and leave some comments about the awesome shirts that we're wearing. I've got my Pennywise shirt. She's got her
Freddy and Jason shirt.
We got to have our horror bling.
Exactly.
So yes, thank you again, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and as always, have a scary day, boils and ghouls, and Freddy wins.
And continue the month of October watching horror movies, because even though it's all year, October is definitely the month.
I'm probably gonna go watch some more horror movies right now.
Same.
Including Universal Studios Cats, directed by Tom Hooper. Oh! All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.